15 years ago, we had something called colony collapse disorder. And scientists yet today don't know what caused it. That led us to thinking about the importance of pollinators. It actually put it on the agenda. So we began to think about, well, what happens if we didn't have pollinators?
1 out of 3 bites of food is due to a pollinator. When I took this job 3 years ago, I was completely surprised how few people actually knew that there was a problem to begin with. So even though this has been going on for decades, there's still a lot of people that don't realize there is a problem with our pollinators and we need to help protect them.
A lot of the foods that we eat every day depend on pollination to even exist. As they go from flower to flower collecting nectar, they're transferring pollen from one plant to another. Plants can't just get up and walk across the field to reproduce, so they've enlisted the help of pollinators. Bees and butterflies and hummingbirds and bats come and visit and help fertilize them so that they can grow and bear fruit. Native pollinators suffer from habitat loss, pollution. Climate change is a big factor as well. When we have temperature fluctuations, that can affect timelines of when they come out and are active.
There's key things that causes them problems. Pesticides, chemical use, loss of habitat, countless numbers of diseases, things like mites. And so this is what makes it very difficult to understand pollinators. You don't have a smoking gun. You have many, many things that all impact pollinators in general.
So to educate people, this is a very public space. We've set up honeybee hives and native bee homes right here in the middle of the garden. So they're helping our produce grow, and then everything is harvested and taken into the restaurant, used typically the same day, so you can see the whole process here right before your eyes. Here, we don't use any chemicals of any kind on the garden. We use companion planting and other pest control methods in lieu of any chemicals. And you know what? At the end of the day, we've got holes in some of our greens, and that's okay. The chef knows that it tastes exactly the same whether or not it's been shared with some other bugs. So we're lucky in that regard that we can do that here.
We started Weehaw Creek Orchard in 2008 with my brother and my father, and on some land that's been in the family for a long time. I really wish we didn't have to use pesticides at all. I don't like to use them. If we don't use the pesticides, if we don't use the sort of spray we have to have, we do not get a good enough quality apple that anybody will eat it. Nobody wants to bite into an apple and see half of a worm. You can't stay in business that way. We've got to spray, but we keep in mind that we've got to have animals around that are helpful. So we've got to make sure that the pollinators that are out there can live. So in general, the pollinators go away in the evening. So if we have to spray, we're going to spray in the evening. If I'm smart and do a well-balanced approach to when I have to use pesticides, when I don't have to use pesticides, and at the same time have enough wildflower habitat around, I think in general that we're going to get more natural pollinators out there. Everything's got to live. Let's find a way to do it.
Here in our lab, we've been conducting research for the last 20 years, and we're looking at ways to help honeybees. And one of the best ways is through bee breeding, where you can take a certain trait and influence it through instrumental insemination. One of the prime factors is colony survival. Can a colony survive this parasitic mite and viruses? So we look at different factors and we evaluate those and we select, but having that diversity is very important. The decline in overall pollinator health is something that we need to stay focused on. If you look across the landscape, there is improvements being done. It's slow, it's here, it's not fast like we want it, but it's happening.
Farmers to homeowners to children all have their role to play when it comes to pollination and protecting those pollinators. Homeowners have a very important role, and that's because these urban areas are becoming desolate with just grass, monoculture grass farms, right? There's not a whole lot of flowers out there, and so making sure that you plant flowers, making sure that you have flowers throughout the season, so you can purchase different flowers that bloom at different times, so you have early bloomers and late bloomers.
The wonderful thing about creating a healthy habitat for pollinators is that you can kind of be lazy with your lawn care techniques. So letting your weeds grow, your dandelions specifically, it's great food for pollinators. Don't be so quick to mow your lawn. Leaving your garden the way it is in the fall can create a great habitat for pollinators to overwinter. Something that I've learned from honeybees specifically, the way that their society is set up, everything is done for the greater good. A lot of times a honeybee colony is referred to as a superorganism, so basically one being, even though it's made up of 20 or 30,000 teeny tiny beings, doing everything for the good of the group, which I think that we as humans can learn a lot from.
I have children, and I hope that they can have a world where the fruits and vegetables are plentiful and bountiful, and we don't have to worry about those types of things.
We'd like to challenge everyone to do something in their landscape, whether it's 1 plant, 50 plants, 1/10 of an acre, a farm field on the edges, or a waterway, whatever it is, to think about what can I do to help pollinators. Then in return, we're blessed with better food, healthier food, an environment that's more colorful, and to have creatures like we have here, bees, honeybees, butterflies, that's around us, that just makes our life that much better.